So it comes with a lot of great Superman reviews. People, like you said, walking out of the movie make you want to feel like a better person, happy.
Mhm.
Kindness is the new punk rock there.
Joyful. Yeah,
You know,
my like one gripe prior to the movie was that Corn Sweat wasn't really getting his own Superman theme. It's just a retooled version of the John Williams Christopher Reeve theme. But second those notes hit, I was like, yeah.
I mean, he's saving a bunch of
And he kind of the "I'm a Punk Rocker" song in a way. He
Mhm.
still kind of got that as his theme too. So like you kind of got a little bit of both.
Yeah. So this is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, who did a review of Superman here. And just to go over some, I think what a lot of his review there encapsulates a lot of some of the reviews I've seen and discussions people had about. And it's okay if you don't like Superman. You don't have to love
Yeah.
Superman 2020.
It's fun.
That's fine. But just
Yeah.
to kind of break down
It's
some
a
of
little
the
different.
complaints about
It's just
the
not
Superman.
okay if you're Ben Shapiro.
You know.
Yeah,
So
it's like, yeah, it's fine to not like a movie, but have valid criticisms besides just trying to nail the talking points that your audience thinks they want to hear.
But actually, even in the comments, they disagree.
Oh,
with me.
yeah, they're roasting his
Even
ass.
the conservative audience is like super. That's not.
So, like you see, the
Again,
first
Can I just
comment
say,
here is
sorry.
this review was sponsored by Luthor Corp. You have the second comment who says, who's quoting him, and then we're going to get to the comment he says in this video. He's talking about the parents were ugly, and then you have like a heartbreak emojis. Are we dead ass?
I'm gonna go comment on that video. The one thing liberals and conservatives can finally agree on is that Ben Shapiro sucks.
But let's get into this video there. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off a little bit there.
He literally is just like the brainwashed monkeys. They're posting
the rage bit. No, I was gonna say this, and this is a thought I have had years and years ago. But Ben Shapiro, he reminds me specifically of a kid from my like kindergarten, elementary school days that would cry if you opened a carton of milk near him.
That's such like an oddly specific thing.
It's very, very specific, but it was a true story.
All right, let's get into this review.
Okay, all right.
So immediately you're taking the expectation of what you know about his Krypton parents and flipping it on its head. His parents, Ma and Pa Kent, in the original, they are noble and they are wise. They're kind of salt of the earth. Here, they're basically kind of, I don't know, like down home types who don't seem to, they live in a kind of a crappy house. They're the kind of people who call the TV the box. They're the kind of folks who are sitting around and kind of scratching their butts. They're purposely cast as ugly and non-noble. Doesn't mean everything they say is bad. It isn't, but, and by the way, both of them are alive in this, right?
Yeah, it's like
Superman mythos is that Pa Kent dies. And that's
No.
Yeah.
That was an invention of this Christopher Reeve's film. Pa Kent's never died in the comics until later takes after that movie came out.
Yeah, and it's like, not that that's bad, but spends like the previous 30 seconds just insulting them. They're ugly. They live in a crappy house. They're like just scratching their butts. They're calling the TV the box because I'm guessing he's never spent time around anybody from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is like the definition of a carpetbagger.
Oh, he's the definition of. It's so hilarious that he, like, I listened to a little bit of his review where he's like complaining that these liberal Hollywood studios are so out of touch with the common people. Meanwhile, this motherfucker worked like 10 months as a lawyer and then just made millions being a fucking political commentator on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean these are.
I have to say, gold star impression of that too.
Yeah, the woke liberal left.
I mean, but that's how regular people look. I mean, Mom and Pa Kent look like.
Yeah, they look like average people. I've met people who look like Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell.
Absolutely. that's totally just like normal average person. I mean, part of the reason I like that is because it didn't seem like glitzy and like like a Hollywood film.
Yeah. So that was a weird. I don't know. That's just super weird. That. But yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
The super dog.
And excuse the I don't know. They do these things when they insert all these meme clips and everything like that. That's just shit editing with the thing. I'm just playing it straight from the YouTube here, so that's not me.
Terrible dog is a dog that does not, like an idiot dog. Like way worse than my dog Happy. My dog Happy way better than this dog, and my dog makes trouble. This dog is a mess. Supergirl, who you get introduced to for a hot second at the very end, Supergirl is a drunken teenage brat. Right? Like anything that you think you know about the Superman universe, James Gunn is determined to debunk in the first half hour of the film. I think that it's a
seems like he doesn't really know really much. It seems like because the basis for a lot of Ben Shapiro's criticism is that he just loves the 1978 Superman. I don't think he's really read a lot of the Superman comics or anything like that.
Oh, he hasn't. I can guarantee he hasn't.
So there's a lot of that. So it doesn't seem like that. So I'm gonna skip around here. There's some timestamps of just some things that he says here in the video.
Or even particularly cool. But you don't know the motivations of any of the villains except for Lex, who it turns out is just really kind of jealous of Superman because Superman has superpowers. And Lex is like, I'm really smart and Superman is really strong. So why do people like Superman more than they like me? Which is a pretty boring motivation, to be frank.
Well, that's
literally
that's the common motivation for Lex Luthor is that
that is literally his motivation in the comic. That is literally.
Yeah, to the point about the 78 movie, I mean, I feel like the only way you could have that criticism or impression is if the only Lex Luthor you know is the Gene Hackman version, and that's what you think the character is.
Yeah. And again, Lex explains why he hates Superman so much and why he hates him above all the other metahumans.
Also one of the best scenes.
And it's like even he acknowledges it. Yes, I know everything I do is driven by envy. I'm not dim.
So again,
Lex Luthor is more self-aware than Ben Shapiro.
That's one of the comments on the video. So this was another criticism. I'm
okay, all right.
But again, that's irritating. As far as the plot itself makes very little sense. The plot is basically that Lex Luthor has decided that he is going to make a deal with a foreign politician who the left wants to believe is both Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, but actually is just kind of nothing, is going to invade another country. And Superman stops that invasion. Apparently, Lex wants to use this as an excuse to box up Superman, saying that he's running counter to American foreign policy. Now, we've seen that iteration in other movies, right? That was in Batman versus Superman. You've seen it in other versions of the Superman story, but it's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this separate country. He's going to split it with this other dictator. One major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. Is a major plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his big plan. And later it turns out that he said, oh, no, I started that war just so that I could get people to turn against Superman. Okay, well, he does that halfway through the film. And then he jails him, and then he leaves him alive and explains this secondary plan that apparently was his primary plan, sort of. But he doesn't kill Superman at the time for a reason that remains undisclosed.
Would they say that in the movie?
They say that, right. Yeah, the government has questions for him.
Right. He can't just kill him as of yet, even though he wants to, because the government wants to question him and interrogate him and everything like that, and to make a determination there. At least Lex Luthor actually does some due process. At least he kind of, he gets the government and some go trial there.
Yeah, it's just basic leverage. I mean,
yeah, and so
it's not even complicated.
Yeah, that's something you can just watch the movie. I mean, that's
just having eyes.
Yeah, if you watch the movie, if you like engage with it in any way besides just okay, what can I gather for rage bait for my dying YouTube channel so people can think that I know movies even though I'm a failed screenwriter.
Even though he's a wet ass P word.
So this is another criticism that Ben Shapiro had.
Complete CGI vomit. So James Gunn has an addiction to kind of gross and weird imagery, which doesn't really fit in the context of the, again, Americana that is Superman. And so there's some really gross.
I mean, again, if you read the comics,
gross.
We are. We are a country who proudly flaunted a fried chicken sandwich where we used chicken as the bread. We have theme parks where we got cheeseburgers with donuts for the buns. We disgusting things are Americana, bruh.
Yeah.
Can either of you explain to me specifically what that's supposed to mean by gross though? Because I'm genuinely trying to think. I don't even know what that's about.
I think it's like talking about the scene with the nanites and some of the stuff with Metamorpho.
I think
that's like the most like PG thing I've ever seen.
He's going to explain it here, but he's talking about the eyeballs. Like he says, like James Gunn's got this weird obsession with like eyeballs and something, like because there was like that was in Suicide Squad. That was in Suicide Squad with like the Starfish.
Right, with Starro. Right.
Starro, and then that was also in this, like with
because people hit big monsters and not in the eyeball.
Because eyes are sensitive, and like that's how you could fight something that big.
Yeah, so that's what he's about to
If anything, one of my few other criticisms in the movie was that I didn't think that mace was mashing the eyeball enough. I wanted more eyeball mashing.
Addictions, kind of gross and weird imagery, which doesn't really fit in the context of the, again, Americana that is Superman. And so there's some really gross and weird images, particularly in the Pocket universe, where you have characters who are turning themselves into weird tentacly octopuses, and you have people's eyes being attacked on a wide variety of it. He has an obsession with eyes, James Gunn, and you can see it.
Take it up with 1 million mobs.
An obsession with the eyeball being pierced, and it's very strange and off-putting. My wife was very off-put by a lot of this imagery. It feels like psychedelic LSD CGI vomit is what it feels like for large portions.
Really those. I can't really think of any other stuff he did a lot with eyeballs. Like Suicide Squad.
Okay, it's like one other example from a movie like 4 years ago.
Okay.
And then I don't think Guardians. Did he do anything with eyeballs in Guardians? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the stuff on OrgoCorp in Guardians 3, but yeah, it's like that was meant to like look gross. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I guess he wants to steal that guy's eye, but like that's just funny.
Oh yeah, there was the Rocket Raccoon. Yeah, there was that the first movie. Yeah, he wants to steal his eye or something. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just the most like just thumb twiddling. Like I've got to find something.
He's literally just rambling at this point, looking for shit to criticize.
Yeah, I don't even understand the points that he's trying to make.
Of the film, you never really get a kinetic scene of Superman doing something cool. You have multiple scenes of giant heavy objects falling on Superman and Superman stopping the giant heavy objects from falling to save an individual. Again, another plot hole. You'll have giant building. The entire building will fall, and he will stop the building from falling to save one person or a chipmunk.
Well, at this point in the scene, like the scene that he's showing with the buildings falling, and this is the scene towards the end of the movie, the people had already evacuated. Like they evacuated the city.
Yeah, so they evacuate.
Yeah, they the last person on their way out.
Is it crazy that a whole city evacuated in like a matter of like an hour or two? Yeah, but I mean that's what they show people getting out of the city.
But counterpoint, this movie puts its foot forward in this is a weird, zany alternate universe that has cartoon rules for people that want this type of thing.
Yeah, it's like you're complaining about real life physics in the Superman movie. You know what also isn't real? Superman and flying dogs.
And I feel like Superman, of all the comic book characters, physics kind of go out the window immediately with this character, more so than most. Like, just why are you even worried about that? Like, do you realize that he would cut Lois Lane in half every time he catches her falling? If you were actually applying these rules to it.
Yeah. Like when he saves that woman running and then he like with the kaiju monsters, like she would explode on impact and like how fast.
Yeah, like in The Boys, that's what it would actually be. That's why we have that show over there and this isn't that.
Sorry. He's too busy complaining about The Boys because he just realized that show's making fun of him.
This was enough. So we're almost there. We're almost done with this.
Okay, all right.
More points here.
Told is a movie about illegal immigration. Not really. Honestly, like you have to look to find that. There's one line where Clark is saying, "Aren't you going to read me my rights?" James Gunn's politics is so ham-handed, like truly ham-handed, that it doesn't even read as political. It just reads as stupid. So there's a moment where Clark is being arrested, and he says, "Aren't you going to read me my rights?"
Yeah, because it's only one line, but then
literally one line in the whole movie.
Right. But then the next thing he says is it's so heavy-handed and ham-fisted. Well, how is it heavy-handed if there's only one line about it? Both of those things can't be true at the same time.
One of the members of the government says, well, you're now considered an enemy alien, right? You don't have any rights because you're not an American. All right. Like, is that supposed to be some sort of like
not what he said at all?
Anti-ICE sentiment. It's really weak. Also, legally incredibly stupid, considering that he came to Earth as a baby and then was adopted by an American family, which would make him American.
They don't know that,
right? So they don't know that he's Clark Kent. They don't know.
They don't know that, dummy.
They don't know that he's who he got adopted by. They just know he's an alien and he's Superman. So that doesn't even make any sense there. So I don't even understand.
He's asked point blank multiple times, once by Lois during the interview, and then Lex threatening him. She's like, well, where do you come from? Like, right, like in different contexts, but multiple times he's asked that question. And even if you, again, aren't familiar with this character, this is the first time you've seen a movie based on this character, it's illustrated pretty clearly why he's not going to just make that in public information.
Yeah. And then also in it, he also talks about the whole line he gives there about how he's illegal, like he is, because, and then even if he did get, like, even they knew the backstory of him with his parents, that still they would have to still forge the paperwork because they would have to still say he's from another planet. So that would even be done illegally. So he wouldn't even be there with that. And they would have to go through a whole process to make him a naturalized citizen there, which I don't know if they've ever done that. But yeah, so that was that's just stupid. I don't know. I don't really get that at all. So two more. So this is the second to last one here.
I didn't catch that anywhere in the film. The sort of social media politics that social media is stupid and rigged by bots, which, I mean, I think everybody sort of agrees on at this point. And there's a really dumb visual joke where Lex has set up actual monkeys typing into computers as his bots. It's like, oh, God. But that's so James Gunn. Again, it's all so... I just don't like James Gunn. I mean,
okay.
And again, I'm one of the people who, when James Gunn was first fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise in July 2018 over bad old tweets, I actually defended him at the time. So it's not about like anything personal with James Gunn. I just don't like his movies very much. The other politics of the situation are supposedly this foreign policy thing. So the left is suggesting that the foreign policy conflict in which Superman engages is a stand-in for Israel and the Palestinians, or alternatively for Russia and Ukraine. So let me give you the geopolitical setup. The geopolitical setup here is that there is a country called Boravia, and this country called Boravia is run by essentially a corrupt dictator who's working with Lex Luthor, and it invades another sovereign country, Jarhanpur. Okay, and so Superman stops that at the very beginning. Okay, like, and doesn't show him stopping it. He talks to Lois Lane about it. Fine.
I do think that was a mistake. I talked to Sage about it. I think they should have showed that at the movie, him actually intervening.
I'm kind of like iffy on that because, you know, I feel like the impact of that event, this happening in media res after this initial fight with the Hammer of Boravia, I think that gives it so much more impact.
I think what I could have seen being an interesting way to do it is to maybe keep the cold open, keep the in media res, and then maybe later in the film, you know, within the first act, maybe there was a little bit of news footage of him doing it. Like, but it was still shown afterwards. I think that might have been a way to kind of have your cake and eat it too there. I mean, I'll say I do think the movie could have been 20 minutes longer, and I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It doesn't add or it doesn't take away anything not seeing it actually happen.
The idea is geopolitically that Boravia has been a longtime ally of the United States. Jarhanpur is a country where we don't know who it's allied with. And it may or may not be run by jihadis, but we don't know. Like, we don't know who it's run by. It doesn't matter. The only reason that Clark stops it, that Superman stops it, is he says because people were going to die. Which, as we'll get to in sort of my final breakdown of why this movie doesn't work and why no really good Superman movie has been made since '78.
What did he say?
I'll explain in a moment. The people of Jarhanpur are brown.
Look at my African American over here.
The people of Boravia are white. Okay, so this is why the left is reading this as Israel, the Palestinians. The reason it doesn't work that way is because
I see, like I said,
get to the fucking point. My God,
we are not made aware that the people of Jarhanpur are either wildly terrorism supportive, that they have participated in multiple terrorist attacks on the people of Moravia. They're led by a corrupt dictatorship that murders gay people, right? None of that's in the movie. So
they do say in the movie during that interview with it's Lois and Clark, they do say that I think, or somewhere else in the movie, they do say Jarhimpur is run by a dictator. They do say that.
Yeah.
I believe that's it's during that interview
it's
scene,
like
and Clark's response is, so that makes it okay to kill them all.
Yeah. So that doesn't even, they do address that point. It's like, it's not like a perfect innocent nation. They don't say that. It's like, you know, like it has issues in government.
Yeah, it's like both have issues with the government. One is like, a country of dirt farmers that you see at the very end of the movie, and the other with like tanks and automatic weapons and helicopters.
And Superman's not saving one government from the other government. He's saving
the people there.
Yeah, it's like, could not be more obvious or more just clear.
And something that I think is a kind of an unsung aspect of this, because you have Frank Grillo reprising his role as Rick Flag Sr., and he's kind of like on Superman's side ostensibly. It's like, yeah, guy's naive, but he stopped a war.
Yeah.
And I think, it's, some connection to Creature Commandos, where he's like kind of on his side. He like sees him more as just like, oh, finally, one of these guys is kind of sane.
Yeah. Somebody did
like, you got no idea what I've been dealing with.
Yeah. He's like, Frankenstein woman and a fucking chicken, a fish jar, and like Superman
got a motherfucking like flaming skeleton.
So this is the last point that he makes, which I think is one of the strangest, weirdest points.
It's also kind of weird that he sees, this, powerful government threatening to genocide a population. Immediately, he goes to Israel.
Yeah. It's because he supports it.
But this is the final point I wanted to talk about from the video here.
To my final point about this movie and all other Superman movies. The fundamental flaw in all Superman movies of my lifetime is the thing that Hollywood cannot say and will not do.
Politics. Does he still stand for truth, justice, all that stuff?
The only Superman movie that I have ever seen that uses truth, justice, and the American way is the original 1978 Superman.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice and the American way.
This is not just a throwaway line. It is deeply important to the character of Superman. Why? Well, because
I don't think it's that deeply important to the characters.
It really isn't.
I don't.
No, the actual actions behind what those words meant was important to Superman. The words themselves, not really. I mean, truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, I think is more in line with how Superman has changed as a character in like the 40 years since the 78 movie, and hundreds of years with the comics.
What do you think they say?
I agree 100% with what Nick just said. I mean, it's like, look, some things about the character you want to remain the same or similar.
Yeah, it's like
not too much.
Yeah,
but
it's
that's
like
not that big a change. It
it's like the intention behind the words, because think about where we were back in 1978. This is post the Vietnam War. This is like kind of this period of history where this is after Nam. This is like, okay, what does America stand for? And this was trying to be that like very optimistic look of it's like, we still want to believe that America is all good. It's like we want to believe that America is the greatest country on earth, and it does stand for what is right and moral. And sadly, and just look at time and how it's gone, especially in the last like 20 years. I honestly really can't say that Superman would stand for what a lot of the governments around the world have done.
And to go even further back, you can pull from the debut of the original comics, which was in the years leading up to the Holocaust in World War II. So it's like, it's a different time. It's like, and he's become more of a Earth. It's about Earth, and it's about the whole species and everything. So that's a weird thing to focus in so heavily on.
Yeah, because Shapiro's whole brand is like America is the greatest country on earth, and the radical and the sorry, let me get that. Yes, and the radical woke Hollywood and radical left, they're destroying this country by forcing transgenders into bathrooms.
Well, and let's just be clear. I don't think if they did say that in the movie, I don't think he'd be happy until it said truth, justice, and the Israeli way.
But like Nick said, he's about to get into that, so let's finish this up.
Take Superman just as a character. Superman is unbelievably powerful, unstoppable. He's faster than anyone. He has X-ray and laser vision. He's stronger than anyone, right? He's basically a god on Earth, and the biggest god on Earth. He's Zeus, right? He can do whatever he wants. And so, why is he the good guy? Why isn't Lex Luthor right? Because let's be real, if there were a person on Earth who actually had those powers, Americans would rightly be very much afraid of that. Correctly, as Federalist 51 suggests, you need ambition to counteract ambition. If any one person had ultimate power, what you're really talking about is a philosopher king. And that's pretty scary because that person could be a dictator, simply doing whatever they want to the world. The only reason why Superman would be a hero as opposed to a villain is because he grew up in America, because he has the American way, right? He's emblematic of what America is. May blunder, may make mistakes, but overall stands for freedom and liberty, private property, and free speech, and all of those.
We put private property above free speech. He listed that one before free speech.
Things.
All that stuff.
Right? All the good American stuff. There's a great comic book called Superman Red Sun. It's an alternative universe in which Superman's capsule from Krypton lands in Soviet Russia. And he grows up as the emblem of Soviet Russia. And he's evil because he grew up in Soviet Russia. Because if you give
you really misunderstand Red Sun if
your
takeaway is that he's evil.
Yeah.
No.
What's your opinion? What's your opinion of Superman Red Sun there?
I think it's a fantastic book and a great thought experiment with the character like Superman. It was like, okay, what if you took this character who we so closely associate with the ideals of America at the time he was written and apply that to a different philosophy. And even in the Red Sun comic and the animated film, he's not really evil. He does a lot of things that do cross moral lines, but he is very utilitarian in his actions. He is all about collective good.
What do you think they say?
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Evil is a bizarre thing to take away.
Yeah, it's because it's because because the whole platform of the Daily Wire is like freedom good, communist bad.
Yeah, it's just that he's trying to achieve similar things and goals.
Yeah, it's like
but under a different system.
Yeah, it's like if you wanted to have a good comparison, I would say look at some of the later arcs of Invincible as it applies to the character Robot.
Yeah. It's not evil. It's just it's a bit more morally gray. It's a little more complex than outright black and white. He's just 100% good, but going so far to swing all the way to the other side of that's just not what that is.
It's why
actually not by the end of that comic, where that lands at the very end of it, and how light spoilers for the Red Sun comic from 30 years ago, but
it's one of the few Mark Millar books that has a good ending.
Yeah, well, but you see this very far. You see a far future that is this utopia that he eventually is able to help create over this huge amount of time. And he's ultimately still all about making a world where peace and prosperity and safety is the highest goal. Maybe there's some more morally complex things he does along the way, but it doesn't go full the road to hell is paved with good intention.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's just not.
Yeah, if anything, Batman in that story is more closer to an evil interpretation of that character.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Now
the
the
animated
powers.
movie does not super faithfully adapt the comic for anyone that's just seen the animated movie.
And I like the animated movie. Fine. It's like, okay.
Evil ideology, then evil ensues. So this is why it's really important. It's not just truth, justice, and the human way, or truth, justice, and all that good stuff. There's a specific definition of Americanism that says that this is why America, for example, should be a world power, because America is better than other countries. And people who live in accordance with Americanism make the world better if they have more power. That's why America is good. Because otherwise, Superman is bad, and Lex Luthor is right, and we should restrict his power. And we should jail him, and we should check and balance him, and we should not let him be free. The problem is that Hollywood cannot say the American way because they don't believe in the American way. They don't believe that America is unique. They don't believe in these American basic values and principles and rights. They have a hard time, even with the idea that, like, the values of Ma and Pa Kent back on the farm are values that ought to be promulgated in the best of all possible circumstances. And so what they come away with in kind of the key moment in this movie, for example, is Pa Kent telling Clark that parents don't make missions for their kids, right? They don't make their kids kind of what they are in terms of what they should be. They give kids the tools to choose what they want to be, and then those choices make those kids what they are. Okay, that's kind of half true and half not. Of course, you give your kids the tools to make choices in life, but you also try to define the mission your kid should have in life. That's maybe the most important thing you do as a parent. Direct them in a way.
Somebody's not going to be on speaking terms in a decade.
That is literally what giving the tools is, you dumb fuck.
Also, can I just say a lot of the last line of things he just said are all things that Lex Luthor thinks. Like specifically some of those things.
So it just seems like the only reason he thinks that Superman's a good guy is just because he's American, not because of any of the values.
Okay, let's test that theory. Let's have Superman land with a bunch of neo-Nazis. Let's see how good he turns then.
You know, like, that seems like a very odd thing. Like, you know, it's like there's no other country that teaches humility or niceness or helping others. Like, only America does that, I guess. Okay.
You know, based on his description of what he thinks Red Sun is about, you'd think Superman landed in Israel.
I mean, so yeah. So I mean, that was pretty much it right there. Yeah, it's just.
Yep. Ben Shapiro's an idiot, and it is very fun to, you know, laugh at how dumb and how, you know, clearly he refuses to engage with any kind of media that doesn't agree, that doesn't validate any of his, like, very, very close-minded worldviews.
It's because his wife is as dry as the Sahara.
It's like, yes, honey, it's not supposed to get wet.
So that was our thoughts on Ben Shapiro's thoughts on Superman there.
Wait, did you say Bitch Shapiro?
No, I said Ben Shapiro.
Aww.
But that should be a new name. I'll try to trademark that. Maybe that should be a new name there. Yeah. So
we are #supershit.